Good morning. It's about 10:15 on Saturday, August 16th. Today I am here in southern Maryland, in Calvert County, in the town of Prince Frederick. Prince Frederick is the county seat of Calvert County. And accidentally, I've been now to 3 county seats in a row. Last week I was in Easton, Maryland, then Cambridge, Maryland, and today I'm in Prince Frederick, Maryland. Hi, Space Nut. Nice to see you. Prince Frederick, Maryland is in southern Maryland. As you go south from central Maryland, the land kind of breaks up into different peninsulas because of all the water. Maryland is kind of rooted on the Chesapeake Bay, and so we're surrounded and kind of bifurcated by the Severn River, the Patuxent, the Patapsco, the Potomac, the Anacostia. I could go on and on and on and on. Hello, Hinorald. Oh, good night. Oh, wow. Thank you for joining from Papua New Guinea. That's fantastic. Today I'm in southern Maryland on the peninsula between the Patuxent River and the Chesapeake Bay. Yeah, and the Chesapeake Bay here in Prince Frederick. And there's a big, huge truck coming down this little tiny quiet street. Just a minute. I'm here. I'm starting my trip up the very small main street here in Prince Frederick. So Prince Frederick is the county seat of Calvert County, and it's kind of could be the largest. I'm not sure if it's the largest town in Calvert County, but it's pretty well built up. So this main street is just a minute off of the main route, which is Maryland Route 2. I think it converges with Maryland Route 4. Hi, Landon. Very nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm in a churchyard. I'm starting here in the church, St. John Vianney, and we'll kind of walk around the church in just a second. But I want to explain where we are. And this will be a short one because this main street is small. And it's not as old as some of the other main streets that we've looked at because of a couple of disasters that have befallen this little town. So let's get started. We're in the churchyard, in the church cemetery, but being incredibly respectful, and we won't be trouncing there. This church, definitely not a historic old church. I have to be careful. Someone commented once when I said something was built in the 50s, and I might have said, oh, it's not a historic. Obviously, there is history everywhere. Something could be, a couple of years old, and we've determined that there's historic value. So I don't want to disregard those buildings that are more modern by saying that they're not. This is not an old church, but I'm highlighting these beautiful crepe myrtles. You've probably heard me talk about them. I know the state tree of Maryland is the Y oak, but if there were a state smaller tree, it would be the crepe myrtle because everyone has crepe myrtles. They grow extremely well in our soil. Mine are white, but they come in so many different colors, the purples and the reds and the whites. Hello, Imraz Khan. Very nice. Well, thank you, Space Nut. That's really kind of you. As you can see, we've got another blue sky Saturday. I got up and came down to southern Maryland this morning to visit a small post office on Brooms Island, and I'll post a little short about that. Literally, that's all there is in Brooms Island is the post office. Not enough to make a live stream, but I made a short. And so I visited that post office, and then I found a couple of other small post offices, knowing that this was the goal today, to get to Main Street, Prince Frederick. So I mentioned Prince Frederick is the county seat of Calvert County, Maryland. It's been the county seat since 1722. Now you'll see when we get up to the main street, there's not a lot of history, not a lot of historic buildings. In 1814, the British, our friends, decided they would burn this town to the ground during the War of 1812, and they did. So all of the original buildings, including the courthouse, were burned. Later, in 1882, when the town was rebuilt, a fire swept through the town and did the same. So not a lot of history here, but we're going to start here at St. John Vianney Catholic Church. And we heard the bells a few minutes ago. And now we'll head up the main street, which is called, you guessed it, Main Street. Sometimes main streets are called Main Street. This one is. Some of the architecture on this street is made to look older, but it's really not. But we'll head up here. We'll play a little Main Street bingo. We'll have an abbreviated Main Street bingo. I'll cross over so I'm not shooting into the sun directly. And we'll see what we can find. Oh, thank you, Imraz Khan. I appreciate that. So being the county seat, we'll find some good old state of Maryland services here, like the Motor Vehicles Administration, our MVA, and the Maryland State Police Barracks here, which is Barracks U. Our state police barracks are letters. So this is Barracks U. If you've ever seen a Maryland State Trooper, number one, thank them for all they do for us. But number two, check out the hat. They've got the state trooper hat. They got the best state trooper hat, I think. They're awfully nice and do a lot to keep us safe. So we appreciate that. So Main Street bingo today. You know, State Trooper Barracks is not on our Main Street bingo card. Hi, Deeptha Karate Kid. Very nice to meet you. But what is on our Main Street bingo card is banner on a lamppost. And we do have a Main Street banner on a lampposts here. A little bit faded. A little bit faded. No breeze today. It's well, that one's going up there. It's hot today. Super hot. Hope everyone's doing well. Kind of the county administrative buildings are down that way. These are reproduction lampposts. Oh, nope, the breeze stopped on this one too. All right, but we did get banner on a lamppost for our bingo card. If you're new to Main Street bingo, we look for things like visitor center, town hall, town square, fountain, library, what else? Clock, town clock is a really good one. Banner on a lamppost. Former 5 and 10, like a former Woolworths, is a bonus. That's a super bonus. A compass is a super bonus. You know, a sundial, those sort of things, they're super bonuses. Let me take a look back here. Again, more modern office buildings. Good old cell phone towers. Not too much history survives here because in 1814, the British burned this town, including the town hall and the courthouse. And then in 1882, another fire swept through and destroyed this main street and this town. Where is this beautiful town? Hi, Swishes Pick'em. This is Prince Frederick, Maryland, in Calvert County, in the southern part of Maryland. Now, what you will find here, you won't find the historic buildings left, but you will find lots of information about the history here, particularly the War of 1812. And this is a beautiful, I like this. So at the bottom, you see the historic representation of the War of 1812. But the schooner that is shown here is the modern Pride of Baltimore II. This schooner exists. It is moored, like 3 blocks from where my parents live and where I grew up, in the harbor in Baltimore. And it's a goodwill ambassador for the state of Maryland and the city of Baltimore. Unfortunately, the Pride of Baltimore I was lost in a storm. And sadly, some of those who manned that craft did not survive. And that was quite devastating. There's a memorial to the Pride of Baltimore I at Baltimore's Inner Harbor near Rash Field. So this tells us about the War of 1812 and the Star-Spangled Banner Trail. So during the War of 1812, the British burned our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. And Baltimore was pretty much the last defense before the fall of the nation, potentially, back into British hands. Baltimore stood up to the Brits, and at Fort McHenry, which you can see here, while being bombarded on September 13th and 14th in 1814, Francis Scott Key, who was prisoner of war on a British ship, was surprised in the morning and startled after this unbelievable bombardment to see that our flag was still flying. That not only Baltimore was still in American hands, but that our nation was still in American hands. And it inspired him to write the national anthem. But you can see here there are so many different places in Maryland that are key to our success in the War of 1812. And we've visited St. Michael's. I visit Fort McHenry frequently. We have not live streamed from Fort McHenry. Oh, hi, 995. Your mom's from Westminster. Oh, your dad, Witchy Lady, lives in Prince Frederick. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Hey, Sammy P, shout out to you and your nurses. And I wish you well. I wish you a really speedy recovery. Thank you. And shout out to everyone. Hope this might entertain you just a little bit. A little bit of history. A little bit of fun. I get out at least once a weekend and one night a week. This past week was, I visited the historic hotels around Washington, D.C. Oh my gosh, it was so hot. It was like 95 degrees. I was drenched when we were done with that one, but that was a really good stream. We got to go from hotel to hotel to hotel. All right. So we're here. At this bench and this grove, remembering Michael J. Moore, the first elected African-American Calvert County Commissioner. Pretty cool, Calvert County Commissioner. Say that 3 times fast. This is Prince Frederick. It's the county seat of Calvert County. Calvert County named for the founder of Maryland. Well, the family, let's put it that way. Cecil Calvert never made it to Maryland. Neither did his next son. They all died before they got here in the 1600s. Yeah, eventually, finally, a Calvert made it here. I think it was Leonard who actually made it here. But we're in Prince Frederick County, and let me tell you who Prince Frederick is named after. It's named after, get this, Prince Frederick, the Prince of Wales, the son of George II. This is before George III. This is the 1720s. George III had a very long reign, well before the American Revolution and for some time after the Revolution. But this is his I think his brother, Frederick, right? Have to check on that. But this is named after the son of the then King George II. And this is the rebuilt county courthouse. Original burned in 1814 by the British. Next one burned in 1882 due to a devastating fire. And then this one. So it's got that typical, how shall I say this politely, trying to be classical courthouse look, but not too terribly historically interesting. We'll say that. Here on the grounds are memorials to those who fought and served and died in the World Wars from Calvert County. And here, a monument to, would this be liberty? Freedom? The soldiers and sailors from Calvert County who lost their lives in the World War. So we know which World War this is. This is World War I. References to the World War, optimistically believing that it would be the war to end all wars. And it was so quickly followed up with another World War. Quite beautiful. But yeah, not, no granite, no marble. This is brick, wood, stucco. This memorial erected by the citizens of Calvert County to perpetuate the memory of their sons and daughters who made the supreme sacrifice, and to those who served their country in the great worldwide war. It's so interesting to see how we refer to the First World War on monuments that were erected so shortly thereafter, with no anticipation that a more horrible war was just around the corner. Mom went to Francis Scott Key High School. Oh, 99 Wolf, that's awesome. It is clean. I know, there are places where it is really sad. Around Washington, D.C., for quite a time, some memorials were vandalized. And I'm really pleased to say everything looks great now. As I've mentioned before, this is not a political channel at all. But what tends to happen is when the Democrats are in power, then things in our nation's capital get run down. Vandalism is allowed. But now the current administration is not going to stand for that. And we do appreciate that. Without being political, no one has a right to deface beauty and commemorations. That is not free speech. That's just crime. So here's the little town map where we are now on Main Street. So we'll see, what is that? The Calvert House Animal Control Office. It's funny, all of these buildings are like county offices, not really historic places. I'm sad to say, I'm sorry, I know this sounds rude. And kind of through this alleyway, this walkway, you can see another county building over there. The courthouse annex across the street. This is where you come to do your business if you have a matter to handle in Calvert County. If you've been arrested, if you're suing someone, this is the courthouse. Main Street is just county business here. Haven't even seen a restaurant. A few law offices. More of these little flags, which is nice. The bingo card is not looking good because even here at the courthouse, there's no fountain, no town hall, no town square. What the heck? Oh, some really nice flowers though. No clock, no tourist bureau. I think part of the reason is it's been rebuilt so many times, and then also we're just a few minutes from the main route, Maryland Route 2 and Route 4, and so all the contemporary shops and businesses are there. And I forgot to spray my bug spray again. I do get devoured by mosquitoes, no matter what time of day. You got your John Deere. Got your John Deere here. Now, I cannot, in good conscience, put that on a Main Street bingo card because I do, like, that's a country thing. And your John Deere wouldn't normally be on your Main Street. Hi, Galemo. Hello, Shakar. Nice to meet you. You think you saw an F-16 here? Or where you were? I was going to say, you might actually see one here. We are close to Patuxent Naval Air Station here in southern Maryland. So every once in a while, yeah. There might be. More county buildings. Okay, Daryl's not here, but here's the cones. Hi, Chinmoy. Nice to see you from Germany. Very nice. David, I don't think Americans are rude. I actually think we're super friendly, which sometimes gets us in trouble in other countries because people aren't used to just strangers saying hello and chit-chatting, which we tend to do. Some Americans are rude. You know, you get that everywhere. That's kind of cute. I like the little tractor whirligig. I'm a big whirligig fan. Oh, Shakar, that's really nice. Oh, Chamoy, Australia. Hey, Ben. Ben, I'm glad. I do not know what happened. Well, Storm, I agree. I'm sure you're not rude. Ben, I'm so glad you found me. Look at this is apropos of no history, but a John Deere sign and a whirligig. I'm all for it. Hi, Jotham from New Zealand. Thank you. We're on a little main street, and when I say little, this is a little main street. This is not our typical Main Street walk. The history of this town was destroyed multiple times. First in 1814 when the British burned down the original historic town, which had been established in 1722. And then in 1882, the town burned down again, not because of the British. We'll have to find out what the story is. So there's no history, very little history on this historic Main Street. Sad to say. I do have a few more notes. Brought my notes. This land was called William's Old Field originally. It was named, this is Prince Frederick, named after Prince Frederick, the Prince of Wales, son of George II. We're not up to George III yet. This was in 1722. This land was originally settled, as much of Maryland's, southern Maryland was, and central Maryland, by the Piscataway Native American tribe. Here in Maryland, Piscataway, Algonquin. You'll find that if you look at a map of Maryland and you see the natural features like our rivers, they are named for Native American tribes and other terms. So Chesapeake, Susquehanna, Patapsco, Chickahominy, one of my favorite rivers. And then our counties and our settled areas are named largely after British families and British places. So Calvert County, Harford County, Carroll County, Baltimore, named after the Lords Baltimore, York Road, Charles Street, Pratt Street. I'm trying to think. Quite a few places, settled or constructed places are named after the British who settled here. So if you look a map, say the word out loud, and you'll be able to figure out whether its origin is British or Native American. Let's see. think that was all my notes. There's not a lot. I'm so sorry. There's not a lot. What the hell is a kilometer? What the hell's a kilometer? Do we say, I say miles. 1,000 meters is a kilometer. Do we hate kilometers? Do we hate kilometers or kilometers? So I had a science teacher who said, it's kilometer, not kilometer. We don't hate them, but we went through this thing in the 70s where everyone tried to convert unwillingly to metric, and it didn't work very well. It was kind of a disaster. So we went back to the good old imperial system for just about everything. Yeah, we don't do the whole Celsius thing. So when I tell you right now it's 90 degrees, you guys figure that out in Celsius. I have no idea what that is. Absolutely no idea. Hot is what I'm going to say. There's another banner. Imperial forever. Nebraskan born. That's the breadbasket, the heart of the country. Farmland. Now here in Maryland, central and southern Maryland is farmland as well. Last week when I was on the eastern shore, that's good old Maryland has a lot of farmland everywhere you go. We have the big cities like Baltimore and Ocean City, and really and truly Washington, D.C. was born of Maryland. But we're still a largely agricultural state. And we also have the water. We are surrounded and bisected and trisected by the waterways. Here, I'm on a peninsula between the Tuxant River and the Chesapeake Bay. I'm going to take a walk up Church Street, but I'll look back down this little main street here of Prince Frederick, Maryland. And I certainly don't want to be insulting to the people of Prince Frederick or the history of Prince Frederick. There's just not a lot to see here because of all the disasters they've suffered. Western and central Nebraska, sandhills, semi-arid. Yeah, Maryland's soil is, for it being such an agricultural area, Maryland's soil is clay, largely clay. So the things that grow really well here, tomatoes, tomatoes for some of you, tomatoes, our tomatoes are the best. And this is the time right now. This is Maryland tomato time. So on my way back home, I will be stopping at a farm stand, and there are farm stands everywhere, and getting some tomatoes, corn. Those are the big ones. Silver Queen corn and big old tomatoes. This is another church, again, another modern church, Trinity United Methodist Church, here on Church Street. Much of the original architecture is gone. Burned by the British in 1814, burned again and lost in a fire in 1882. But what you can find throughout southern Maryland are different historic markers